Hello there, stamping friends. Jackie Bolhuis from Klompen Stampers. You know, it's almost the end of September, and I think I'm finally ready to start sharing some Christmas ideas with you. You know, that new mini catalog that came out in August is full of Christmas stuff, and I know a lot of demonstrators dove into sharing Christmas. I just couldn't do it yet. So today we're going to dive in and we're going to make a couple of cards with the Snowflake Wishes stamp set and share a lot of tips. What I've got to share with you, I guess, really would apply to a lot of different cards you could potentially make even without this stamp set. Any stamp set that's good for random stamping would work really good with the card idea that I'm going to share with you. Plus, I have a few little tips that help you kind of get into my head as to how I create sometimes, especially when I have new products. So without further ado, let's go ahead, flip this camera down, and let's get stamping. Now this stamp set, Snowflake Wishes, sure, it's great for Christmas, but I think it's just a good winter stamp set as well. There's kind of the thank you so much, snow much, not so much on here, but you could also make birthday cards, anniversary cards, anything during the winter season. Just grab a different greeting. Now, what I'm going to do is a little bit different here. I have played with this suite of products, but I thought I would break it down to actually 3 videos. So the next 3 videos you're going to get from me are all going to be using these products. We're going to start small with really just the stamp set, and then we're going to kind of build and build till we're using everything here. You know, I think sometimes when we look at a catalog, and Stampin' Up! Does this great job of putting suites together. We've got all of these coordinating products. I'm flip this over, our stamp set, and dies are over here. You know, sometimes we feel like we have to use all this stuff. So today we're starting small, and we're starting with just the stamp set. But when I went to set out to start stamping, I thought, what kind of colors do I want to use? Because really, you know, anything goes when it comes to snowflakes. You know, I tend to think blues. But what I did was I looked at this color palette, which is from the Designer Series paper, and decided to use these colors. So these colors, cardstock and ink, along with just my stamp set. And I didn't mess with all the other things. We're going to bring those in on the next couple of videos. So just real quickly before I set this aside, if we can find the front of it. This is the August through December mini catalog. If you don't have one of these and you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to send you one. Hop over to my website, klompenstampers.com, and the link will be down in the description of this video. And up at the top, click on catalogs. You can request an annual and the mini catalog, or simply just request a mini catalog, and I'd love to put one in the mail to you. Okay, enough chit chat. Let's put this aside and let's get stamping. So we're going to start out with a piece of Whisper White that is 4.5 by 3 1/4. Now don't worry about remembering or writing down these measurements, because I will have a blog post that goes along with this video, and I will have pictures of my projects along with all the card recipes. I got actually 2 cards I'm going to share. So you'll get the card recipe, which really means the measurements, along with a complete list of all the supplies I used. And I'll have the link to that specific blog post right down in the description of that video to make it nice and easy for you. So what we're going to start out doing is random stamping. Now, I know sometimes people struggle with random stamping. Let's see, we have 3 pads, Balmy Blue, Pool Party, and Highland Heather. But random stamping, some people have a hard time like filling the whole piece of cardstock here, because they tend, you know, especially if you're OCD, to go bam, 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 you know, and not get it truly random. So when I do random stamping, I like to ink it up and stamp it once, turn my paper and stamp it again. And then we're going to stamp it once, turn the paper and stamp it again. By turning the paper, we tend to not put things in a line. Now, I also want, what I really want is like 3 dark ones and 3 light ones. Now, here's a little tip when it comes to random or stamping. When you're stamping off like that, I'm going to show you what not to do. If you take a stamp and you go part way off, okay, and then you spin it and you try to go all the way on for the second stamping, see how this is darker here? This is the part of the stamp that came off of that paper. So anytime your stamp is coming off, okay, you don't want to stamp once and twice. The second can come off, but not the first one. So since I need one more lighter shade. I'm going to actually stamp on scrap paper, and then we'll stamp a lighter one on there. Okay, working in threes kind of helps me be a little bit more random and fill in my cardstock. So let's switch to Balmy Blue, and we're going to do kind of the same thing. Since that went off the paper, the second stamping is going to be scrap paper and then stamp. Let's see, we need a dark one here, a light one there, and let's bring in a dark one there. And again, oh, let's go there. But notice how as I'm stamping, I'm spinning and turning my cardstock. Okay, and finally, let's do some Highland Heather in here. And the second stamping, I try to put next to a darker one. My first stamping, you know, I try to get it where there needs to be something. Let's see, let's kind of get that one up there. And we'll do that. So I've done my 3 colors, and you can see I'm looking pretty good. And then I really just kind of come back and I look for white space. And so now we're just going to kind of pick some stamps. Let's put a little bit of dark coming in there. I think we'll take a little bit of the Highland Heather, get a little bit right there. Maybe a little bit right there. I need something light in the middle. So let's do that one. And then maybe a second stamping of that one. But you see how I just aim to, we need something right there. You know, it's one of those things you could putz and putz and putz and putz. But there, I think we're pretty filled in with our random background stamping there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and layer this. I think this piece is 4 5/8 by 3 3/8, if I remember right. We'll use some adhesive. This is the pool party. So I'm just pulling out a color of one of the colors that I stamped with, and we'll layer it on there. Now I've got some ribbon here, and I cannot for the life of me remember what the name of this is. I know it came as a set. It might be with the ferns. Nope, it's not the ferns. I don't know. I will, again, one more reason to hop over to that blog post. I will put, again, I'll list all the supplies and I'll look this up. So all I'm doing is doubling this because it does come together, and I like using the 2 of them together, the little, what do we call it? Baker's twine on top of that gingham. And just, it's kind of tricky. You got to just kind of hold it on top of each other. And all we're going to do is tie a knot. It would be really hard to tie a bow and keep these pieces layered like I am. So I did the first half of my knot. I'm holding my finger on that center and then flipping these through and pulling them. And there we go. There is our nice little knot. I always say if you feel bow challenged, which I definitely am, I like to do knots because they're much, much easier. And this, we're going to trim those off at a little bit of an angle. And, you know, with a knot, you can kind of move it a little bit so that you see them. So there is that part of our card. Kind of level that out. Then let's go ahead, take a piece of scrap paper, and we're going to add Misty Moonlight. Now, I don't know, I don't always show you how I open my ink pads because I usually have them open ahead of time. But if you struggle, you know, they tell you this is really the way they're designed to open, like a compact. But I liked it. I find it's just easier to hold my pad like I'm reading it, and then I just take my 2 thumbs and I press down at the bottom here, and that pops that side open, and we can slide it in. So there's your pad opening tip. And what I'm going to do is stamp this, thank you so much, on a scrap of Whisper White. And then we will take a 1 3/4 inch circle, or whatever circle or punch that you have, and we'll just punch that out. And then this is going to go on here, and it's pretty stark white. So what I'm going to do is let's take one of these stamps. Let's see, this was the one we used in Balmy Blue. We're going to stamp it on scrap paper first. Actually, I'm going to stamp it twice, and then the 3rd time I'm going to stamp on here. So it's real subtle, it's real light, but it just kind of takes some of that whiteness away from it. And then let's grab a couple of dimensionals. I want to make sure I put these on the top and the bottom because we're going to kind of straddle that piece of ribbon. And we want to make sure that this is sticking down. So we'll put that right on there. And then I have a piece of Misty Moonlight cardstock. Now we'll put some adhesive on here, like so. And now you could put it nice and straight, which is what I tend to do. But every once in a while, I like to do things on an angle. So I thought, This one actually works really nice and looks cute at an angle. Because that ribbon's running through that back, you got to make sure you give it some good pressure so that it adheres down. So there is the front of our card. And then we're going to go ahead and I have a piece for the inside. This is 5 by 5 by 3 3/4, I believe. And we're going to just, again, since it ran off, we're going to do scrap paper to get my lighter version of that one. And then we're going to reverse here. We'll do the balmy blue like so. And then let's bring in a Highland Heather like so. So I'm going to leave the inside blank other than stamping some snowflakes. And we'll go ahead and we'll add this. You know, I don't always put layers of cardstock, colored cardstock in the inside. I generally just put a layer of Whisper White. But sometimes, especially when the card is super easy to stamp, I like to layer the inside too. You know, you want to make the inside as well as the envelopes pretty, just like the outside. You know, kind of think of your cards as there's 3 parts to it. There's your envelope, there's your inside, and then of course, there's the front of it. So there's 3 parts, so we better stamp our envelope. Now, usually I stamp on the front of it, but this time we're going to continue our little bit of random stamping here, and we're going to just stamp the back, the back flap. Now, notice how I've opened it up here. I do want to make sure I keep all of my stamping just on the flap, but you want things to run off all of the edges. So at some point here, we're going to close it and we're going to stamp coming off this edge as well. So let's put a balmy blue there. And again, you know, I'm basically doing the exact same thing that I did on the front of that card. So we're just kind of filling it in randomly. So there is dimensionals, there is our envelope, and there is our first card. Now, I have another one that I pre-stamped, and I just want to show you how using these exact same colors, you can really just mix and match and play with different colors of cardstock. I just did the opposite here. Which one do you like better? I'm not real sure which one I like better. And then the inside, same thing. I just kind of stamped the corner instead of both corners. So there is that card layout. And once again, let's just come back to the fact that the only thing we use from that suite is the stamp set. So when you look at those suites, don't be overwhelmed. Sometimes we need to just look at the stamp set. And then here is another one that I did. Pretty much the same idea. There's the envelope, but my measurements are a little bit different. Instead of a rectangle, we just have a strip going down. Again, same colors on those snowflakes, random stamping, our ribbon, and this time I just cut into the square, the greeting. And then for the inside, again, I layered, but I added the thank you so much on the inside. So there you go. There are 3 card ideas for you using Snowflake Wishes. Now again, hop over to my website if you want all the details along with the supply list, and you can order this stamp set or any other Stampin' Up! Products that you'd like to over on my website. I truly appreciate it when you select me to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And before you hop off YouTube, make sure you subscribe to YouTube too so you don't miss the upcoming videos I have, because I'm going to be making two more cards. Well, might be more than 2 cards, 2 more videos that are going to use this stamp set along with other supplies of this gorgeous suite of products. So we'll talk to you again real soon with some more stamping. Have a stamp happy day.